Hey guys, how you doing? Welcome back to another video. Firstly, I hope you all had a very good Christmas. I know this year has been a very strange year and a tough year for a lot of us with this pandemic. But although we've all had to be at home, I hope we've all had a good Christmas with your families at home. And also, I wish you a very happy new year. So now we're back to the Gospels. And today's Gospel is from the very first chapter of John's Gospel. And we read about the Word that was made flesh and that dwells among us. But also, we read about a man who was called by God to be a witness. And that man is John the Baptist. To be a witness is to represent something. It is to stand for something that you believe in, stand for something that you have seen. And so for John the Baptist was standing for the kingdom. He was standing for God. He was standing for the Messiah who is to come. He was standing, preparing the way, bringing people to repentance and bringing people to believe that the Messiah has come. So how does this term witness play in our lives? So a lot of us right now are in different stages of life. Some of us are in university, some of us are in college, some of us are working. But regardless of what part of life we are in, we are all called to a life of witness. We are all called to stand in this world as representatives of the heavenly kingdom, as representatives of Christ. But of course, being a witness in today's society, in today's world, is never easy. It's extremely, extremely difficult. And it requires a lot of courage, perseverance and endurance. When we read John the Baptist's story, we read that he was in the wilderness all by himself. He had camel skin, he was eating locusts and honey and had a simple belt. So what that all shows is that being a witness also means being in isolation, being separated from the world. There's a sense of division. And if we were to apply this to our own lives, we're not literally divided from the world like John the Baptist was, in the sense that we're not like completely in our own by ourselves in this new environment, but we are called to this. There is a spiritual separation, there's a spiritual division. And what I mean by that is that we will have, as Christians, we have our core beliefs, we have our core teachings, but these teachings are not accepted by the world around us, and many of these teachings are not believed in and are disagreed upon. And a prime example of that is abortion. For example, we know as Christians that abortion is so wrong, and it's taken away life. But in the world that's around us, they say that some people would say that abortion is a good thing. It's about rights and it's about your own body and choosing what you want to do with your own body. But that's just an example of how the world's values or the world's thoughts, ways are completely different and divert from the core Christian beliefs. So in that sense, we are isolated, because there's this great morality out there that the world is confined to. And because we are not confined to that great morality that this world has, we are in a sense kind of looked as the odd ones out, and we are looked at as as people who are just that are just being rebellious in some ways. And so in that sense, being a witness can also make us look like the enemies of the world, even though what we are standing for is truth, what we are standing for is good. So being a witness requires sacrifice and courage, because it's never easy being the odd one out sometimes in a society like that we live in today. So in this wilderness that we are brought to by being witnesses of Christ, like I said, it can be something so difficult, and it's like a place of isolation. But that can also be a good thing, and you must be wondering, how can that be a good thing? How can being alone necessarily be a good thing, an important thing for us? It's important and it's good because by being in a place of isolation, we are brought to this one-to-one moment with God. We are brought to this moment of dialogue, this moment of intimacy. And it's when we are in this moment of intimacy with God, in this loneliness, it's in this loneliness that God really works powerfully. And it's in this loneliness God really starts to speak to you. And it is only through Jesus that we can get the courage that we need to be witnesses. It is only in this moment of loneliness with God. So in that sense, we're not truly alone, but it's in this moment with God that we start to know what his will truly is. And as witnesses, he shows us how we are to be witnesses and what we are to do as witnesses for him, what we are to do for his kingdom. So it's so important that we embrace this moment of isolation, and we embrace this moment of these moments of loneliness that we may feel as witnesses of Christ. And my dear brothers and sisters, if you do feel this way, if you do feel at times the odd one out in this group, in this community, or in this society, if you feel like the odd one out purely because of your faith, then that means that you're heading in the right direction. That means that God is taking you somewhere great. And although it may seem so difficult, and although it may seem so hard and very, although it feels like it takes a lot out of you, just remember that God is taking you through this necessary journey through the wilderness, so that he can get the best out of you. And you won't become weaker, you won't become less efficient going through these moments of isolation in the wilderness, but you become much more stronger, you become much more efficient, and you start to become a great witness to the kingdom of heaven. So this calling to the wilderness is a necessity. It's important for us, for our spiritual growth and for our relationship with God. Thank you so much, guys, for listening. I hope that this coming year is a very fruitful year for you all. And I do also pray that you are able to build a much more closer relationship with God this year. And may you get the courage that you really need to be witnesses for Christ. Until next time, guys, God bless and Happy New Year.